I've been on USG for 2 years, and I've seen how many different things and components work. One thing that's important to note is we have elections. We have 21 voting members and approximately 30 people who are all together in the Senate. However, we also have, in addition, people who are on committees. So really, people who are affiliated with USG is up to 100 individuals who work on projects varying from academics to CCA to student life to IT projects as well. So being able to manage a team and also work with individuals from many different aspects of campus life is really important. So with that, there has to be a platform that can span many different issues because there is the capacity to work on multiple different issues. And the way I'm categorizing a lot of issues and initiatives that I want to spearhead are through three key words, which are collaboration, action, and results. Collaboration in the sense of USG represents students. We're not representative of students. If you look at the number of athletes on USG or the number of students from many different backgrounds, we don't represent everyone in terms of just our demographics. And so it's important that we can collaborate with other individuals and groups on campus who are more vested in these issues and are part of groups that actually care about that as well. So what we've noticed in the last few days, there are students outside of USG who take part in a lot of advocacy activism on campus, and it's important that we can bring people together to be able to discuss the issues and find solutions that we can work on as a student body, because there are differences between working with administrators, faculty, and students. And so in terms of collaboration, looking at an online feedback mechanism, right now the only way to reach out to and give feedback to USG is reaching out to Ella Chang by email. Really, that's not accessible. We should have an online feedback mechanism so anyone can post anything at any time. We can hear about it. The second part is working in direct collaboration with different groups. Early this year, we've worked with the ICC, SHARE, PHAs on the hydration station, working on eating club accessibility, and getting more information out there as well. And also working on student task forces and groups. The university has many task forces, and it's important that we can work with that and get student issues present. And in terms of the action items, so like I said, USG spans quite a bit of different initiatives, and it's important that we can look at different things. One thing that one way I think we can get a lot of issues presented to students is through student groups. Everyone is a part of a student group in some capacity, yet we don't talk about important issues together, like whether it's mental health or sexual misconduct policies or many different things. So I want to bolster support for student groups in terms of academics, look at grade deflation, PDF policies for languages, and PDF for SINDL, similarly to how Columbia does it, and also looking at student life, how we can put even more support towards different initiatives and being able to work together with different parts of campus. In terms of results, we need metrics and progress reports sent to students. We have an online platform that's become much more accessible, so being able to put all that information on there, and also knowing that there are different students with different vested interest in USG, so giving a place for anyone who wants to get more involved or see what USG is up to.
I'm running for USG president because I think that USG in the recent past has not done a good enough job of putting students first and putting students' issues first. I think that the organization has become largely out of touch with the larger student body, and I think that's a problem that needs addressing. And on my platform, there are 3 big initiatives that I want to focus on, just 3 things that I think significant progress can be made on in 1 year or completed in 1 year. And the top one is mental health policy on campus, largely stemming from counseling and psychological services, also known as CPS. Not too long ago, I was in a position where I felt like I needed to go to CPS. I went there and I was turned away. I was told that I would have to wait 3 weeks for an appointment, which I thought was absolutely ridiculous. And I wound up going off campus, but that's not an option for everyone. So I started talking to friends and other peers and started to notice that this is a real trend on campus, that CPS is not able to help the undergraduate student body, let alone the rest of the school. So I think that it's really important that the USG president, someone with the institutional backing of an organization like USG, can work with the administration, lobby the administration to put vital resources into this pressing issue, because this is something that touches all of our lives. With 4 out of 5 kids wanting to go to CPS at least once in their 4 years here, and a majority of them getting turned away, this is an issue that really needs vital focus. And I want to work with the administration to get more staff and more funding for CPS. I also want to look at PDF policy. I think that PDF should be rescindable, so you'd be able to see your grade at the end of the semester, and if you decide that you like your grade, you can take it back. Probably there would have to be a compromise where that would student issues and things that kids really care about, sort of cutting through all the bureaucracy and really getting to the heart of the matter, which is students, and making sure that everyone is having the best experience at Princeton that they can have.
Awesome, thanks. So the second question, we'll go with Grant first this time. So in addition to kind of some of the things that you've outlined in your initiatives, what do you think are the most important issues that the campus faces? What do you think should be or are most important to students?
Well, I think that mental health is probably one of the biggest issues that students face. I think it's a quiet issue that not a lot of people like to talk about for various reasons, but it's something that affects all of us, and I think that we need to have a discussion about it. I think the Mental Health Initiative Board does a great job of sort of sparking light for discussion and sort of highlighting this issue once a year. It's usually around late February or early March, but that's not enough. The thing is that USG is very good at is sort of saying, hey, like this is an issue, let's get our attention. And then there's no next step, there's no policy change, there's no let's work with the administration to get this change. And I think that with mental health policy, we need to make CPS a more vital resource for students. And I think that that is a major issue here on campus. I also think that encouraging inter-student dialogue and sort of coming together, bringing tigers together to talk about the major issues on campus. And I think with the recent protests that were going on in front of Nassau Hall, that's a big issue. And I think that USG can play a vital role here in bringing the leaders of different groups on campus, actually having them sit down in a room and talking about, well, how can we sort of work on these issues together? Because if the undergraduate student body isn't as united as possible working with the administration is not going to take us seriously. And I think it's really important that we sort of work out our differences among us and then present the issues to the administration. And I think that they're going to be much more open to working with us and finding a compromise instead of the difficulties that we've seen with not only the protests that were going on this year, but with a lot of the issues last year with divestment and Host Picker.
It's collaboration on 3 different fronts. So being VP, it's very much so internal, one of which is collaboration between the different committee members and the different committee chairs. So we have several committees within the executive committee. We have social, university, student life, campus and community affairs, academics, and IT. And all of them take on their own different projects throughout the year. But they oftentimes have similar ideas, but just one of them will take it on and the other one will take a step back and choose not to do it. And I think that leads to a little bit of inefficiency, and also there's fewer people working on the project, so it's less likely to actually be completed. The second form of collaboration, I think, is between the actual Senate members and those different committees. Having senators working with those committees instead of just working on their own would really make sure that there's a student voice in there, and also give a little bit of the connection between Senate meetings and how those committees work on their own. And then the last would be a collaboration between the actual USG and different student groups on campus. So I think it's not fair for us to say, as a USG, hey, come and talk to us. I think we, as a USG, need to be reaching out to them. And if that means going and being present in their meetings, then that's what needs to happen. And then the other side is just transparency. I think it's a buzzword often used. But for USG, it's not fair, or I don't think it's enough just to say, hey, we have a website, but instead, we have to make that website something that students can actually use as a resource. And by doing that, I think it really would encourage students to be a part of USG and feel like USG is something that works for them and not just for the Senate members themselves.
So I've been campaigning, and I've been going around talking to people and asking, what is USG? What does USG do for you? And mostly I get 10 seconds of nothing and then blank stares. And that's a problem. USG should not be an organization that does nothing with students' lives. So I went around and I've gotten this piece of paper together and I asked people, what could USG do to you? Every student has big questions. Every student has questions like, can we subsidize NJ transit tickets? Grade deflation. Have GPAs changed post-grade deflation? We have no data since 2014. And if they haven't changed, why haven't they changed? What was the purpose of repealing grade deflation? They have questions that USG does not go to answer. And that's USG's main purpose. It's serving as a bridge between administrators and students. So yes, I want transparency. I want communication. I want to have good connections with student groups, make sure that everything runs efficiently within USG, but I want to ask the big questions and get answers. That's my main platform. We don't get answers because we don't ask. We have to go to administrators and say, why have we not had an initiative to build prox readers in restaurants around campus? Why can't we go to the WA and swipe our prox and use paw points or have this go straight to our student charge? The VP's job, as per the Constitution, is, has a few folds. Some of which are running the meetings, the weekly Senate meetings, and then pursuing pet projects that have an influence on the life of undergraduates. State from the Constitution of the USG. We have to run the meetings efficiently, answer the questions that students care about, and then pursue these projects that actually have an effect on the lives of undergraduates, instead of what we tend to do now. Last week we had a meeting, and it was quite productive, but we spent an hour and a half talking line by line about referendum reform, about elections reform, and that could have all been done via email. So we have to have meetings that are more productive, more efficient, and actually focus on questions that students care about. One question I heard about just 2 days ago was, why are late meal prices increasing? Students, freshmen and sophomores, see late meal prices increasing, and they don't see their late meal swipes going up. It's still $5.95 and $6.95. And that's a problem. And USG should be asking the question to administrators, taking it to the VP of Student Life or Otis and saying, why has this been happening? Give us a justification, and then spread that out to the students and let them know what they're actually caring about. That's my platform.
Great, thank you. And the second question, we'll start with Shobit, and it's, what do you think should be the role of the VP? Has it been that way right now, and what would you change about the role of VP?
Sure. So the role of the VP, like I said, is a few-fold, but running weekly Senate meetings, that's a very important role. You have to run the meetings so they're productive, they're efficient, and the way that I see it is that everything that can be done via email should be done via email. People should not be walking into the meetings. Elected officials should not be walking into meetings, not having read the packet that was provided to them before the meeting, and then reading it, very quickly during the meeting to try to figure out what's going on. Everything that can happen before should be done before. Now, when you get to the meeting, you have to make sure that the committees are accountable and responsible. Last week's meeting, a few of the committees didn't even have any updates. And that's a problem. You have to make sure that every committee is doing things every week, or at least has some things that they have to do. CCA, for example, is supposed to link the campus of Princeton with the town of Princeton, town and gown relations. CCA has 2 big events, Restaurant Week and University, but aside from these 2 big events, they could be doing so much more for the students. We talked about prox readers just now. They could be going to administrators and say, why can't we do this, why can't we install prox readers? Why can't we make businesses pay for prox readers? Because they'll do that because they'll get more profit from students, and then see a trial run with 1 or 2 restaurants. They could meet with admins and get that done very, very quickly. That could be one of their updates. So keeping these committees responsible. But the way that I see USG happening next year is that we're going to put every single member of USG that's elected under a committee. And that's what the project group will be. The project group will be via committees. Right now, they're loose, they're spread apart. You really can't keep them accountable. It's very hard to. If you look on the USG website, there's a group that doesn't even have an update. You can't even find an update. You can't even find their goals. That's a problem. So we're going to put every single group under a committee, keep them accountable via the committee, the committee chair, and also via the VP. It's a 2-part accountability system. Right now, there's a project that it's independence and co-op support. That's what Will brought up just now. Its objective, though, Will, is not to, make sure that there's some tangible change. The objective is to increase awareness. How do you measure an objective that's just increase awareness? You gotta have concrete objectives, put them under committees, keep them accountable, and make sure they're doing things instead of just existing. That's the big deal.